What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So today we are discussing X-Men, of course.
To me, my X-Men.
To me, my X-Men!
To me, my X-Men.
To me, my X-Men.
So with the recent news and developments of Gambit and Rogue being entered as playable characters into Marvel Rivals, sidebar, I just love the fact that the game developers decided to use Rogue and Gambit to promote their love story and not a common Marvel couple like Mr. Fantastic and Reed Richards or Iron Man and any one of his hoes, or, you know, if they were going to do the X-Men, they were strictly going to lean into Cyclops and Jean. So I'm so happy that they decided to go with Rogue and Gambit. They are my number one favorite superhero couples of all time outside of DC and Marvel. And on top of that, Gambit and Rogue are two of my favorite X-Men. They are two out of my top five. So I just love it. I love the PR that Gambit and Rogue is getting. It's just making me so ecstatic. But anyway, back to the main topic. Since Gambit and Rogue are now going to be playable characters in Marvel Rival and the whole season is based on their wedding, I wanted to discuss their actual wedding that happened in the comics. Now, if you saw the title of the video or the thumbnail, I named it, you know, a very messy wedding marriage. But the reason why I called it messy is not because of Gambit and Rogue. It's because of two other X-Men couples, Kitty and Colossus. Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into what actually went down at this wedding. But before we do that, theme song. Now, real quick, I wanted to provide two of the comments where I'm getting all of this information from. So if you are interested in reading about their actual wedding, you can do so. So the first comic is X-Men Go number 30. I have the comic right here. This is how it looks. There's other variant covers, but the main cover, which was actually sold in comic book stores, it looks like this, in case you guys need to see it. The writer of this book is Mark. I feel like I'm gonna butcher his last name. I apologize in advance. The writer of the book, his name is Mark Jugem, and the artist of the book is David Marquez. And they did a very fantastic job telling this story, drawing the characters, and really diving into the X-Men lore, which is just full of love and drama. I absolutely loved it. That's what you get when you're reading the X-Men. When it comes to love and when it comes to drama, they coincide. Like, you're gonna get that reading the X-Men comic book. So I absolutely loved it. Right, now, as I said earlier, this wedding is all about Kitty and Colossus. They've been a couple off and on for years. I cannot remember the very specific book of when they met and when they fell in love, mainly because I don't really care as much. You know, like I said, Rogue and Gambit, they're my favorite X-Men couple of all time. So anybody else, it is what it is. But they've had, you know, an off and on relationship. There has been a lot of things that has transpired, not within their relationship, but within their lives individually. Like, Colossus actually died, and Kitty was trapped inside a bullet that was fired by, you know, the Break World. And it took them years to get her out of that bullet. Like, a lot of things happen in their lives individually, but when Peter proposed to Kitty, she said yes, and they decided to get married. So I was like, oh, okay, Kitty and Colossus getting married. Let's make it happen. So the book opens up, they're at the rehearsal dinner, and it's just all the X-Men. They are drinking, laughing, dancing, having a good time. I love to see it. You know what's crazy? In this panel, we actually see Gambit and Rogue at the bar, of all places. Gambit is a very well-known womanizer. And, you know, he moved away from that once he fell in love with Rogue, and he is over heels for Rogue, and I absolutely love it. So as you can see at the bar, Gambit is flirting with Rogue, like that's now already his woman, and she's just eating it up because she loves her some Gambit. Now at this dinner, this is where things go left. So Ileana, who is Magic, that's her code name, but she's also the sister of Colossus, Ileana Rasputin, Peter Rasputin. She decides to pull Kitty away from the rehearsal dinner so they can go out and have a drink on top of the roof. And Kitty says yes. This is where things just get messy, because it's like, Magic, I know you're a well-known bitch, but it's like, what was your reason behind doing all this? Like, she's literally the villain of this book. I'm just side-eyeing her. I love me some Magic, but I'm definitely side-eyeing her. Like, girl, what the fuck are you on?
Oh my God, bitch.
And so Kitty and Ileana, they are drinking, they're having a good time, they're girl chatting, you know, they're best friends, and they have a commonality between each other, and that's their love for Peter, Colossus. So as the conversation is happening, Magic seems a little bit off. And, you know, Kitty being her best friend, she's like, girl, what's wrong with you? She's kind of forcing her to spit it out. And Magic is pretty much saying, you know, after everything you guys been through, the off and on, if you guys were going to be married, y'all should have been married by now. That's what Magic says. And Kitty, you can see her face. She's looking like, huh, like, I get what you're saying, and thank you for telling me that, but you can see the switch in Kitty's emotions. It's like, now she's really starting to self-doubt this marriage and this soon-to-be marriage and this relationship. And to be honest, I have a problem with this because, number one, Magic's logic doesn't make sense. Yes, they've been through a lot in the past. Colossus actually died in the legacy virus. Kitty was actually stuck in a bullet fired by the break world, and it took years for the X-Men to try to get her out of the magical bullet. Peter joined Magneto, and he was working with the Acolytes because he lost his entire family. The only two family members that he has alive is Mikhail, his brother, who is a villain, and Magic, but she was stuck in limbo for a long periodic of time. So that's how she obtained her powers. And also, Kitty, she lost her father. So they've been through a lot individually, but we ain't even talking about all the like big X-Men missions, you know, like the genocide that happened on Genosha, or Scarlet Witch erasing all the mutant powers, and Hope Summer being born. Like, it's just been a whole lot of things that has transpired and they experienced as X-Men team members. But then, as I said earlier, they experienced a lot of things individually. So with that being said, with Magic saying, like, you know, if it would have happened, it would have happened by now. My thing is, it's happening. It's happening, period. So what's the problem? Like, she's saying, like, oh yeah, off and on relationship. Yeah, because that's what happens with young people and their dating history. They do a lot of off and on like that. And it's not like their relationship was toxic. It's not like Colossus had a baby on Kitty or anything. Like, no, they've been through things that shook them to the core, and it helped mature them as individuals. So if anything, if they was able to survive all of that bull, of course they can get married and survive marriage. So I'm not really understanding why Magic had this take on, you know, Peter and Kitty getting married. But as I said earlier, what Magic said, it really has Kitty thinking. And you can just already tell that this wedding is about to be some straight up bull.
See, when you do clownery, the clown comes back to bite.
All right, the next page is the actual wedding day, and I do want to make this minor notation. So Nightcrawler, who's also in my top 5, Nightcrawler is the best man to Colossus, Peter for the wedding. And it makes sense because Nightcrawler and Peter, they joined the X-Men at the exact same time, and they have established a beautiful brotherhood. So it makes total sense that Nightcrawler is Colossus' best man. And for Kitty, Storm is serving as one of her bridesmaids. And I believe Storm is going to be the maid of honor. It wasn't clarified in the book. It literally just says bridesmaid, but you know, it's Storm. Like, you know, Storm can do what she wants. And it makes sense that Storm is a part of Kitty's bridal party because Storm pretty much raised Kitty when she first joined the X-Men. And she's seen Kitty morph from a teenager into a grown-ass woman. So it just makes sense that Storm is a part of it. Another sidebar, I just want to note that Wolverine does not attend the wedding. You can see Wolverine is sitting on the roof. Looks like he's having a cigarette, and he's pretty much saying, like, good luck to you guys. Like, finally it's happening. This is so in Wolverine's characters. He does not do weddings. He does not do big gatherings. Wolverine's that type of person. Like, when it's ready to fight, he's ready to fight. But other than that, he's a loner. Like, he don't for everybody. And I'm so glad that the writer emphasized this, because if you watch all the X-Men movies, if you watch all the X-Men television shows, if you are delved in any X-Men media outside the comics, you would think that Wolverine is like the Superman of the X-Men. Not the case. Not the case at all. Wolverine is antisocial. Wolverine is not a leader figure among the X-Men. He is a popular character, but he's not that type of person. Half the time, Wolverine is not living on the X-Mansion. He's gone on some side quest, just doing his own thing. And when it's time to fight or when it's time for a mission, Wolverine pulls up, and that's him. So I'm so glad that they showed that Wolverine, he loves Peter. He is best friends with Colossus. I mean, y'all know of the Fastball special. Also, Wolverine has done a lot of one-on-one training with Kitty when she was like a teenage girl. Like, Wolverine was the main martial artist trainer. He wasn't training her how to control her powers. He was training her how to fight. And Kitty is like one of the best fighters. And it makes sense for her to be one of the best fighters of the X-Men considering where her powers are. So yeah, he has a special relationship with Colossus and Kitty, but he just decided not to attend the wedding because Wolverine does not do weddings at all. All right, now another interesting thing that we see at the wedding, Rogue is having a conversation with Magic, which is like, okay. And pretty much Rogue noticed that Magic is in some sort of sadness. It's not a depression, but it's like, it's supposed to be a wedding day and Magic's not happy. And Rogue is like, oh, what's wrong? And Magic is pretty much saying, like, last night I said, you know, what I said to Kitty, and she probably is going to have second thoughts about getting married. And Rogue was like, don't worry about it. It's water on the bridge. It's nothing to worry about. And then we see her ushering over to Gambit. Talk about the foreshadowing. It's crazy. Now, as the wedding ceremony starts, we see Kitty walking down the aisle. She looks beautiful. She looks absolutely amazing in this dress. Like, shout out to Kitty. And Colossus, just look at his face. He's like, damn, girl, I ain't never seen you like this. Yeah, Kitty looks amazing. Now, one thing I want to know, Kitty is being walked down the aisle by her mother. Of course, that's usually the job of the father, but Kitty's father died a tragic death. So, of course, he was going to be unavailable. And then the only other logical person would be Charles Xavier. But Charles Xavier was dead during this time as well, killed by Cyclops. Again, that's just a whole nother situation. We ain't even about to get to that. So, long story short, Kitty is being escorted down the aisle by her mother. So the wedding is happening. Nightcrawler is the best man, so he is delivering the rings. The preacher is doing his thing, and now it's time to put the rings on each other. Kitty puts the ring on Colossus. Everything is smooth. Colossus puts the ring on Kitty, and she decides to turn into a ghost because, you know, Kitty's ability is to phase. So as he's putting the ring on her, he can't get it on her because his whole entire hand is going through her hand. What the is happening? So it's this big dramatic moment. Everybody got their eyes open like, oh what's going on here? And with me, when I first read this, I was like, Kitty, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're just being just dramatic for no reason. What the fuck are you doing? So Peter's like, Kitty, like, what's up? And she's like, I can't do this. And she fades under the ground. And you know, the audience is just gasping like, yo, what's happening? Kitty leaves Peter at the aisle. That's just, number one, that's heartbreaking. And number two, that is so embarrassing. Like, you're getting dumped at your wedding in public. She's pretty much saying no to marrying you in front of everybody. And everybody's just standing there looking and judging. Kitty, what the f*** do you got going on? Why did she do this? And why now at the wedding day? Why now? This whole thing just got mad embarrassing. And Nightcrawler, he is the best man. He has to port Peter out of there because it's like, nah, I'm not finna leave my boy just stranded like this. And you see a shot of Gambit Rogue and they were just like, what just happened? And everybody in the audience is like, what just happened? And I'm asking the same exact thing. What the f*** just happened? So in the next scene, we see that Kitty is at a river. She's in the woods. And Colossus walks up and he finds her. And he was like, what just happened? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, nah, what just happened? And basically, she's re-emphasizing what Magic said, but she doesn't tell Colossus that Magic is the one that said this. But her reasoning for calling off the wedding, she says that out of everything that he has been through, out of everything that she has been through, she does not think that this is the foundation that their marriage should be on. And Colossus is like, the foundation is not based on everything we've been through. The foundation is based on love. Duh! Like, that's what any marriage should be based on. It should be based on love. The experience, the good, the bad, or the ugly, is going to come with the relationship regardless. And you guys have been through all of this BS before. Now that you guys are married, y'all can stand the test of time. Kitty's mindset is not making any sense. Magic's mindset is not making any sense. There's no logic behind it. Let me just break it down. Let me tell you the reason why Kitty called off the wedding. Kitty is gay. Kitty likes Kitty. That's the reason why the wedding was called off. Kitty likes Kitty. That is the reason why. Kitty, you can see in many other issues, Kitty is kissing girls, having sex with girls, having fun with girls, and just exploring her sexuality. Kitty is gay.
You are gay.
And that's what she should have said in this panel. I don't want to be with you for the rest of my life because I like women. That's all she had to say. Instead of wasting everybody's time. That's the main reason why. And yes, listen, let me tell you something. Kitty and Colossus, Kitty loves her some Colossus. They have boned several times in the past.
Woof.
Kitty,
Wait, not done with Wolf. You're more than I could have imagined. And I've imagined.
Agane says you're to leave at first light. You have about an hour if you wish to continue fornicating.
Colossus put that thing on her. So she already know what she's getting with Colossus. And trust me, she enjoys it. But my opinion, she didn't want to get married to Colossus because she likes Kitty. Plain and simple. So in the next scene, Gambit and Nightcrawler, they are sitting at the reception dinner and they're talking about, how heartbreaking and how unfortunate and how random everything just transpired today. Like, he cannot believe that Kitty called off the wedding. It's crazy. And so Storm, she's sitting at the table and she was like, well, I'm glad that it happened now instead of years from now. Gambit and Nightcrawler, they was like, what you mean? And she was pretty much saying like, listen, Kitty is not hungry for Colossus anymore. And I don't even know if Colossus is hungry for Kitty anymore. If y'all are not in a relationship where you can genuinely believe that you cannot live without the other person, is no reason for you guys to get married. And it's better to recognize this now than recognize this in the future where you guys are unhappy. See, thank you, Storm. Storm's logic is actually logicking, because what Magic and Kitty said doesn't make any sense, but what Storm is saying makes total sense, and it aligns with what I had to say. Kitty's not hungry for Colossus because Kitty is hungry for Kitty. Kitty is gay. She likes women. So that's why she doesn't want to get married to Peter. Storm hit it dead on the nose. Kitty was bull, Magic was bull. Straight like that. So next thing you know, Storm's words of, can you live without the other person in your life? Are you hungry for the other person being in your life? Mind you, she's talking about Peter and Kitty, but he's thinking and he's like, I feel this way, but I feel this way with Rogue. Pretty much, Storm unknowingly motivates Gambit to propose to Rogue. And that's exactly what he does. Gambit makes his way to the bar. Rogue is at the bar again, of course. And Gambit asks Rogue to marry him. And Rogue says yes. And I absolutely love this moment. Now, sidebar, it's a little bit ghetto and a little bit convenient of Gambit to ask Rogue to marry him at somebody else's wedding, but it makes sense because listen, why let all the decorations go to waste? Why let everybody being here, spending time to witness this union go to waste? Why let all the catering go to waste? Like, this is an actual wedding and the two main people didn't get married, so why not utilize this opportunity for me to marry my woman? It's actually quite convenient and it's genius of Gambit to be like, yeah, let's get married because we ain't got to spend now $1. I mean, think about it. Gambit don't fuck with his family. Rogue doesn't fuck with her family, their birth family. So the X-Men are their family. All their family is here. Let's just go ahead and make it happen. And that's exactly what they do. They decide to get married because Rogue says yes. Love it. I absolutely love it.
I like that.
All right, so now that it is the wedding of Gambit and Rogue, let's go ahead and break down their wedding instead of Kitty and Colossus. All right, so for Gambit, his groomsman is literally Bishop and Storm. And Storm will actually be the one that's going to serve as Gambit's best man. And it makes sense, even though, you know, Storm's a woman and the best man is typically for guys. But Storm and Gambit, they have a history. Like, Gambit is a part of the X-Men because of Storm. Storm is the one that got her on the team. And they used to be thieves back in the day. So they have all this beautiful, rich history among each other. And it just makes so much sense that Storm is providing support for Gambit on his big wedding day. And then also with Bishop, you know, Gambit and Bishop, they hated each other back in the day. You know, Bishop accused Gambit of being this murderous bastard from the future. They got the fighting. Bishop actually broke up one of, you know, Gambit's dates with Rogue. It was just a mess. It was just a hot ass mess. But they grown to love each other. They grown to be boys. And it just makes sense that Bishop is a part of Gambit's groomsmen as well. Look at Gambit. He got 2 black people for his wedding party. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I love Gambit. I absolutely love Gambit. So that's who's on Gambit's side. Now with Rogue, like I said, all the X-Men are there, so they can just choose whomever. But Rogue has Jean as her bridesmaid. I really feel like Jean is going to be like the maid of honor because she's just doing everything. The other people that are part of the bridal party, we got Jubilee, we got Psylocke, which makes so much sense because Psylocke joined the team probably like a couple of issues after Rogue joined, or probably before. They joined around the same time. I can't remember the specific timelines, but Betsy being a part of Rogue's bridal party is absolutely amazing. I love it. Now, here's the thing. We got this weird moment from Iceman and Nightcrawler. I'm definitely side-eyeing Nightcrawler, because I was like, Nightcrawler, you was just with Gambit at the dinner, the reception dinner, and now you're here talking shit. What's going on? Pretty much Iceman, he's the one that started the whole conversation, because he was saying like, yeah, I'm on Rogue's side, not because I'm gay, but because I f with Rogue more than I f with Gambit. Like, I don't really f with Gambit. That's essentially what Iceman said. And Nightcrawler's like, yeah, I'm on Rogue's side because, listen, yes, I'm her brother, but also, like, I f with Rogue more than I f with Gambit. And so Rogue turned around and had to get them together, because how are y'all going to talk about the guy I'm literally about to marry right in front of my face among my bridal party? I just thought that was a very weird moment. Mainly with Nightcrawler, because it was just like, boy, you was just with Gambit. You were just with him. And now, since you're by Iceman, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm Team Rogue, because I don't really fool with Gambit like that. What? Now, what if Gambit said that about Rachel, Nightcrawler? What you would have to say then? Exactly.
It could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bush.
And then, next thing you know, we get an appearance from Mystique. Mystique came to the wedding dressed as Abigail Brand, and she decided to shapeshift into her true form because she did not know that Rogue, her daughter, was going to be getting married. And I'm like, Mystique is so questionable. I really can't with Mystique, because it's like, you came for Colossus and Kitty's wedding. Like, you were so interested in their union that you came for their wedding. And now you're glad that you actually came because they're not getting married. Your daughter is getting married. That's just so weird. I can't imagine Mystique being so bored to the fact that she was going to attend to X-Men that she barely interact with. I can't imagine the fact that she was going to attend their wedding. That's why she posed as Abigail Brand. But okay, Mystique. But, you know, Mystique reveals herself. Everybody's looking like, what the f is going on here? And Rose like, relax, everybody. This is my mom, and I'm getting married, so I want her here. And they have a nice, loving mother-daughter moment, even though Mystique tried to throw some shade and was like, now, are you sure you want to marry Gambit? I can hook you up with other groomsmen. And Rose like, girl, shut the fuck up and don't ruin this moment. Because it's facts. Again, what's the beef with Gambit? Nightcrawler has some type of way with Gambit. Iceman has some type of way with Gambit. Now Mystique has some type of way with Gambit. Why y'all mad? Why y'all mad with my boy? Rogue said yes for a reason. F off. Now, one thing that gets on my nerve about this book is, I don't know if it's a retcon or it's just a continuity error, but it's the fact that Rogue has to wear a power dampener so she can be able to touch Gambit at her wedding. This makes absolutely no complete sense, because these two books came out in 2018. In 2008, in X-Men Legacy 220 to 224, Rogue has control of her powers with the help of Professor Xavier and Danger. Meaning she is able to touch someone and she does not have to automatically drain their life force. She can choose to drain their memories, she can choose to drain their powers, or she can choose to drain their life force. But it's not automatic. That was in 2008. So here we are in 2018, and it's like, I understand it's different writers, but it's like, why did you guys try to make it seem like Rogue doesn't have control of her touch powers? Because she does. It's been established. And it makes me appreciate Chris Claremont more, because Chris Claremont was the head writer of the X-Men solely by himself for 15 years. Like, yes, he's had different teams or whatever, but the continuity that he established stayed in the books. And when you have different lead writers of the X-Men, details like that get changed, and I don't like it. And the main reason why I don't like it is because there's more to Rogue than just the powers of touching. So if it's been established that she has control of her powers, why are you guys here 10 years later trying to make it seem like, yeah, I have to wear this power dampener because I don't want to absorb Gambit's memories, his powers, his life force. I don't want to kill Gambit because of my powers. That just doesn't make any sense. I don't like the fact, that's the one thing I hate about this whole wedding situation. I don't like the fact that they made it seem like Rogue does not have control over her powers, because she does, and she did. And I really feel like a lot of writers, they found Rogue more interesting when she couldn't control her touching powers and she had to like isolate herself from everybody. But the status quo has changed. Y'all gotta make Rogue more interesting outside of the fact that she can't touch people. That was part of the 70s, 80s, 90s. We've been there, done that. It is done and over with. In my mind, my canon, Rogue has control over her powers. Period, point blank. We do not need to go back to that. We need to elevate and add more to her lore besides touching. Like, that's been done and over with. Rogue has control of her touching powers, straight up. But other than that, Rogue and Gambit, they are officially married. They say their I do's. And Rogue is officially Miss Anna Marie LeBeau. She is now the wife of Remy LeBeau. She is now the wife of Gambit. And the next panel, you can see that Rogue and Gambit, they're at their honeymoon getting their freak on, of course. Like, y'all know Gambit is a freak. And I think Rogue is a freak as well. But Gambit is, in my mind, Gambit is a bigger freak than Rogue. And they lived happily ever after. Well, they don't live happily ever after because, you know, some other pop off within the book. But go read Mr. and Mrs. S. It's about 4 or 5 issues. Deadpool is in it, and so is the Shi'ar, so you can read what has transpired on Rogue and Gambit's honeymoon. But yes, that is how Gambit and Rogue got married in the comics. All because of Colossus and Kitty not getting their shit together. Now, if you see in the Marvel Rivals trailer, as I mentioned earlier, Wolverine don't do weddings. So they have Wolverine being the best man to Gambit. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, Gambit and Wolverine, they have a hate-love relationship. So it makes no sense that Wolverine would be a groomsman or a best man trying to adjust and change Gambit's tie at his wedding. Absolutely not. But then on Rogue's side, they have Emma Frost being the bridesmaid or the maid of honor to Rogue. And it's like, yo, nah. Like, Rogue and Emma, they don't hate each other. They just don't have that strong of relationship for Emma Frost to be a bridesmaid at Rogue's wedding. First of all, I don't think Emma Frost would be a bridesmaid to anybody's wedding. I think that's just her personality. Emma Frost is not bridesmaid material because she's main character material. So she would never be nobody's bridesmaid. She will only be the bride. It's just so fun how the game developers decided to, you know, do their own spin on Gambit and Rogue's actual wedding. Because as I stated within these last couple of minutes, their wedding was a hot mess. A hot mess turned into a beautiful love story. But Kitty and Colossus, they're a hot mess. But that's all I got for this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I will put in the description box all the titles of the X-Men books so you can go read them for yourself and draw your own conclusion. Make sure you guys enjoy Marvel Rivals and upload how y'all are playing Gambit and Rogue so I can watch, because I love me some Gambit and Rogue. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.